Good evening.
Hello.
Welcome to the Spy Party Competitive League Week 8 match between DavidW and Ryooo. This is my co-caster, Legorv.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm just going to boost your volume slightly, actually. I think it might have been a bit low earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine. I've added like a pop filter to my mic.
oh, nice. Actually, don't know how to boost you, so we'll just hope this is okay. Alright, so let's dive into some stats while we wait for the draft to get started. So this is a bronze match, and our two competitors here are DavidW and Ryooo. It is pronounced Rio, not Ryu, because it
Okay.
is French. So
All right.
technically it would be Rio. Um, So, if we look at their records right now, Ryooo has 2 wins, 1 draw, and David has 2 wins and 3 draws. So David is a little bit higher on the scoreboard at the moment, but neither player has a loss yet. Both of them have pretty good records.
Yeah, this could tie Rio or there I go. Rio up with David W.
Yeah, and if we look at who they've played, Ryooo, Rio's one tie is tie party against Chef, who's currently at the top of the division, and David W has also tied Chef in his first week. So I think both of these players have pretty similar skill levels. They both started last season in Challenger. Ryooo went 5-0 in Challenger, won 5 matches without losing a single one, and David went 6-3, 6 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. So they both had pretty good records in Challenger last season. They both entered the Challenger tournament and made it all the way to round 4, the quarterfinals, which is pretty impressive. And now they're both here in the same division together.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of balancing qualities, so we should see a close match, especially considering their standings currently.
Yeah, I think so too. And just looking at the kinds of maps that they often pick, I think we might be seeing some 5-8 tonight. Ryooo picks Modern and Library a lot, and it's sort of the same with David. David picks Library a decent amount, but if you look at the win rates for all seasons, David's got a really good spy win rate on Modern, 73%. Really good sniper on Library, 75%, and this is a pretty big sample size. And then for Ryooo, it's actually similar, very high rates on Library and on Modern. So I'm thinking we might see some Library and Modern picks tonight, and that should be a pretty exciting matchup.
Definitely. I also think we could see some ballroom, since both of them have picked it a handful of times.
Yeah, that's 4 ballroom picks from Ryooo, 5 from David W. And if you look at the stats, David W's ballroom is, sort of in the middle, maybe a little bit below average as sniper, but it's a low sample size. But Ryooo seems to do pretty well on ballroom. 6 sniper games, 5 wins out of 6, I think that would be is what the stat is.
Interesting though that Rio has banned ballroom twice, so perhaps he just uses his ban to counterpick against his opponents.
Yeah, the balcony ban is pretty standard. The others, Ryooo definitely picks pub a decent amount. We just saw Ryooo do really, really well on pub last week against Amlabella, but, does ban high rise the other 3-5 sometimes. David bans courtyard a lot, which is interesting. A lot of people consider courtyard to be sort of a nice and easy map. Nothing to really hate about it, other than that spies sometimes have a hard time winning. But with this library picked 9 times, I'm definitely expecting us to see some library today. But I may be proven wrong.
Yep. Are we gonna get a draft code from them?
I'm sure we will, and I'll remind them just in case. I don't want to be too annoying about it though. And it looks like the players are getting ready, so we should get a draft code in a moment. But yeah, I definitely think this will be a pretty even matchup. I wouldn't be surprised to see a tie party, and just knowing what I know about these players, I think they both have reputations for being fairly dangerous. I'm expecting to see some pretty impressive play.
David's not feeling super confident in the lobby chat, but nerves affect people differently.
Yeah, I mean, Ryooo does have really, really good stats. I mean, this season, it's a low sample size, but Ryoo's at an 81% sniper win rate. And the other interesting thing about Ryooo is that Ryooo is currently at a 0% spy timeout rate in 36 games. And this actually came up last week when Ryooo was sort of trying to bait their opponent, Amlabella, into maybe taking a shot on someone because Ryooo was idling. But then when it didn't work out and Amlabella wasn't shooting anyone, Ryooo went and rushed missions, did a bug, did a contact in the last 20 seconds, and pulled out a win anyway. So, and Ryooo mentioned that, he was sort of dedicated to trying to keep that timeout rate where it is so that he can use it to his advantage. All right, and we do have a draft code coming in, so I will get that up.
I mean, before Ryooo,
All right, so the players are joining the draft room. Going to be doing that coin flip. Yeah, so based on everything I said, my predictions, I think the most likely things for us to see would be library, maybe modern. Not for sure, though. They have good rates on it, but they don't seem to necessarily pick it. And then we might also see some ballroom, and I'm curious to see if Ryooo picks pub again after dominating it last week against Amlabella.
yeah, between the two of them, they share a couple of modern and veranda bans, so it could just be only library of the 5 of 8 venues.
All right, so David has won the coin flip. David is picking second.
Interesting choice.
One thing I definitely noted about Ryooo last week is that he is a very, very strong purloin tracker. Last week on Ballroom, there was a purloin chain done by Amlabella, which lasted over 30 seconds for a green purloin, and Ryooo was on top of it and correctly shot the spy. All right, so we have our first ban from Ryooo, which is Balcony. So it looks like even though Ryooo has a fairly wide range of bans, he's going with the classic one here. I'm thinking maybe when Ryooo bans other things, it's based on the opponent trying to counterplay, but in this case it doesn't seem like there's anything he's interested in counterplaying, so just going to take Balcony out. And David bans Courtyard. No surprise. We were just talking about how Courtyard is his most banned map.
There's the ballroom pick from Ryooo. Pretty expected that at least one of them would do it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing we're going to see a library pick from DavidW, but no, we're getting High Rise instead.
Very interesting.
That's very interesting. It's not a map that either of them have any particular notability on. But I do
David, could we?
believe Ryooo does ban High Rise relatively often, so it could be some sort of counter pick from David.
Yeah, David might be doubling up on the 3 of 5 venues. In fact, Ryooo picks Tayen and the 4 of 8.
Wow, this is
And
spicy.
okay, and then David W finishes off with Aquarium.
All of my predictions have been shattered. I mean, both of these players do really well on, Library and Modern, the 5/8s, but we're not seeing any 5/8s in this draft.
Gonna see a lot of occlusion,
A lot of
and we'll have to see.
occlusion, and, even Ballroom with those pillars. This is going to be a set where it's hard to see everything. And the players are getting in game. I'm opening up the spectation now. We're also seeing some crowded maps. Ballroom and Taeyan are both pretty crowded. They're sort of maps where the ambassador is always standing in buggable positions. But Ryooo did really well on Ballroom last week. That's where he was tracking that Purloin hardcore. So I'm really excited to see how well he can do against David here.
A ballroom seems like a home venue for these two. And then the rest of these games are going to be the Wild West. So buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to expect from Taeyan and Aquarian games from these players at all. It might even be the first time they're playing Aquarium. In fact, I'm just double checking the stats now. Ryooo has no games on Aquarium in SCL so far, and neither does DavidW. And when it comes to Taeyan, DavidW's only played it for one single pick, so 2 games only. Didn't win either of them. And Ryooo has also only played Taeyan in SCL twice. 1 sniper win, no spy win. So both of them are really delving into the unknown here, and we will be delving right along with them. And
I'm sure they have strategies to bring along with them.
First game has started. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
I'm going to take control and head over to the blue bookshelf and take out an innocent book while we observe the party. And then we're going to go for a green microfilm transfer.
Yeah, it looks like Ryooo isn't watching for this. There's a lot of cover there from the pillar, from Queen, who was also at the bookcase, so it doesn't look like the microfilm was seen. The ambassador is leaving a print over on the other bookcase, so if we go do the other microfilm, we could get progress on 2 missions at once. Probably waiting for the seduction target to do something. They're just at statues at the moment, so we have to wait for them to enter conversation. Hoping it would be next to us, but it isn't. And we're immediately chasing them. And the seduction target is... No, they're not going to the bookcase. They are. The seduction target walks over to that bookcase. We're taking a fingerprint here instead, and if we go over to that bookcase, we can flirt, get a fingerprint, and microfilm.
But we've been highlight. That's going to make the second half of this transfer much harder.
Yeah, what do you think we were highlight for? Just for picking up that briefcase there?
I believe so.
And so we're opting to go back to the same bookshelf that we were already at. Is there another fingerprint here, or is this completely innocent? I didn't think there was. We're taking the book. This is... I'm a little bit confused by this play. You've already taken the microfilm out, so a hard transfer isn't on the menu.
It could... I'm thinking that this is an attempt to lower his suspicion.
Yeah, that must be
but
it.
I'm not sure why he would think he was highlit in the first place.
No, it's some very interesting counterplay if David realized that he was highlit for the briefcase. It could be a really good way to lose suspicion. I mean, going to the same bookshelf for a second time and, you know, clearly doing nothing with it. And we're getting a fingerprint off of the statue. It looks like David was worried about getting that other fingerprint from the bookcase. Maybe didn't want to go do the second half of the transfer too soon, but the ambassador was leaving prints everywhere, so it works out.
Only chooses to inspect one of the statues, though it is the middle, so we can still go back to that set if we want to finish inspects.
The banana bread comes off, and there's almost no reaction from Ryooo. Mostly because a lot of people are in conversation, but I do think Salmon's at the bookshelf, Alice was at windows. Those may have been possible lowlights unless I've missed potential splits.
We're one of 3 highlights finishing statues at this point. I don't like our odds of finishing here.
Yeah, we're gonna get shot. When you consider that Ryooo highlight David for just a briefcase pickup, it must mean that there was something about that briefcase pickup that Ryooo really, really didn't like. And
we're stepping in for the microfilm. The pillars block. Oh, it's on the corner of the vision.
It's gonna go into overtime.
We
Will a
have
shot come
overtime.
off for a microfilm finish? There's no one at statues.
Text just bug pathed, but
Oh, Ryo doesn't know what to
he's
do.
hesitating. Wow, that
That's
microfilm.
that was a really interesting finish. You don't often see microfilm finishes going into overtime like that. And that's 1 point for David. Ryo almost took the shot for the second statue
Wow.
visit. The safety came off, but he didn't take the shot. And then when that same suspect went over to a bookcase right near the end, he wasn't watching it. And, I almost don't blame him. The spies finishing in the last 10 seconds are usually doing it with a purloin, a bug, maybe a swap, final inspects, not cramming a microfilm in.
I would say that's a very clutch green test, but Rio was zooming in right as it happened, so there may have been no chance to catch it at all.
All right, 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We're gonna take control and chase down our seduction target. We'll be respectful and wait a short while to get our flirt, in
We
which
are
we will hit a green for 48%.
we are near the ambassador here. Oh, they're walking away. Could have been a good opportunity to bug them behind the pillar there. Now the question is, are we going to stay here and timer flirt? Right now it looks like that's what Ryo is planning, but looking around the venue, watching that ambassador, potential reverse drive-by, but they don't come close enough.
We also got to consider, how are we gonna finish flirt here? Do we want to timer flirt it and then just get our third later? Because we can't do it in two right now.
No,
We're
and we've
one
taken an
point
innocent
short.
drink. That's also really going to cut down on our options. %97.
97. There's that floating point value.
Well, the floating doesn't really help us very much here. We're going to need another flirt to finish, and in my opinion, now's the time to get out of this conversation and start making some mission progress. There's no reason to wait around and timer flirt for a final 3%. 3% is easy to get later on. You can enter anywhere in a conversation, and you'll be able to get a good flirt there.
We're on the move. There are two people out of conversation if we want to take this banana bread. So as we hesitate, we've got some more movement.
Yeah, it looked like a really good time to take it, but Ryo wasn't necessarily feeling good about entering and banana breading immediately. It's still a good time, though.
Especially now. We will get our final flirt and the double agent will leave.
Yeah, I feel like Ryo probably should have taken that contact when he had the opportunity. Instead, we're coming out of that conversation with nothing but the final 3% on our flirt, and now we have a minute 20 seconds to finish 3 other missions. And that would have been a good contact. There were, I think, maybe 4 people outside of conversation towards the end of that.
We've chased down a fingerprint. That's a start. But we still have to rely on the ambassador
Yeah.
to...
This would be a tricky bug path here. We'd have to curve into the ambassador, so not worth it.
Double agent isn't being friendly either. He's not... Oh, there he goes, in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the quickest, safest mission to complete, is to get your contact. And looks like we're going for it. Ryo's not going to let another opportunity slip by him.
We will let off 3 lowlights, possibly.
They're not being taken, though. It looks like David is really focusing, thinking a purloin play might happen.
That bug helps. We will white swap.
Yeah, if the bug isn't
It's
suspected...
being looked for, and it is seen.
Yeah, safety off, and there's the shot. That was a good bug. It was so good that even I didn't see it, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough progress. Still had to go in and do another mission, and it was a swap, and it was seen. And that's a second point for David.
At the expense of lane, David misses the bug.
Yeah, it looks like David really thought a purloin was going to happen. Zoomed in on it immediately after the contact came off, but that was not the game plan.
Though that bug would have required pretty full attention to notice anyway. Monadders is pointing out, General almost blocked that shot with less than 3 seconds left.
Yeah, it was a hard angle to take that shot from. All right, 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Innocent, empty conversation here as Seek. We have not taken control yet. Just waiting for the party to settle.
That's an interesting choice, letting the AI control us there. When you're in an empty conversation like that, you know, you have a nice 5, 6 seconds to plan your move and go wherever you want, but David's finally losing the AI control now, but it doesn't look like he's going anywhere in particular with it, just heading on over to a window. And that's the first 30 seconds of the game just over, like that, with no mission progress.
May have wanted to squeeze in next to the seduction target, but tapped, took up a bit too much space for comfort.
We did a nice redirect there, heading over to the bookshelf, and as Teal crossed in front of it, we redirected. Behavioralist could maybe lowlight you for that, but that's not what Ryoo's doing. And it looks like David is feeling like the lack of progress is catching up to him and just decides to go to the center statues just to get a mission completion.
Yeah, 3 empty conversations isn't the best if you want to be completing missions on time.
No, there is a path to walk by the ambassador in the middle here. Might be able to get away with a bug, but I do believe we have to pick up the briefcase.
I'm not so sure about that
No, the
yet.
ambassador was too close to it, so people are not picking it up.
45%, we need 2 more flirts, a contact, most likely, and another mission.
But we're doing a fake banana bread.
We will take the guaranteed fake in exchange for 2 lowlights, and we'll cough to leave conversation. That must have been an accident.
Oh well, I don't think anyone ever coughs on purpose. Except Dowsey when he's trying to frame someone. It wasn't bad for a fake contact though. Most people were in conversation, so you're not really letting away many lowlights, and you are potentially confusing the sniper, and it works! No, it doesn't. It's a shot on David.
I'm not even sure what that shot is.
Yeah, I thought someone else was going to be shot because David wasn't doing anything, but...
Oh, that shot could have been because he double talked in order to do that second fake, or the first fake. But then what happened with the cough? Cough may have been seen as well.
Yeah, it must be that there was suspicion from the cough and then suspicion for entering another conversation and talking. Alright. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We start out with a bit of a bug path past the ambassador, though it was during AI control.
We are still near the ambassador, and we take the bug path. And from what I can tell, it was behind the pillar. I don't think it was possible for David to see that arm movement. David would just have to suspect the path.
Yeah, no arm movement was visible, but that would surely be suspicious.
Of course, we are going right into
threatening.
statues afterwards. I hate it when that happens, when like the perfect bug path, you know, presents itself, but as you're walking away from it, the only place that makes sense for you to go is statues, and then you're like, oh my god, am I going to get credit for 2 missions here?
Purposely going around this conversation to avoid the ambassador, but we'll step in for our second flirt.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange entrance there, walking in front of Queen. Queen gets highlight. Why does Queen get highlight? She didn't do anything. Maybe highlighting for a potential flirt pairing for Ryoo, but that would be a pretty high-level play.
Wow, that was a really subtle highlight.
Subtle highlight on who?
On to Queen.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, she got highlight while she was just standing in conversation. And, you know, the ambassador, the tray were nowhere near her, so I'm curious why Queen got highlight, if she's a suspect. She's going over to a bookshelf now, and it looks from the sniper angle like she's being watched. So I'll be very curious to see if we get a miss shot on Queen here.
We're picking up our third inspect and our first fingerprint,
And we
and
took
then we take
another bug
another
path.
bug path. Yes. Green
That's
fingerprint will
dangerous.
help a lot.
Hmm. But at this point, all we need to do is finish the seduce. We're taking the book with us. I love that move. You take the book, it makes the sniper think that you're not done because they think you might be trying to finish microfilm. That said, we do have only a minute left, and unless we hit a green flirt, we will need to flirt twice. Ryo's running over to that window. Will he get there before Queen leaves? It looks like he
Ooh.
decides not to even chance it. Doesn't want to risk doing an obvious chase if she leaves.
We'll do the stand next to the other bookshelf to make the sniper think, but then show them that no, you're not gonna transfer the microfilm.
And now we see if it was a flirt pairing highlight earlier, if that's why Queen got highlight. Doesn't look like it though. So
We're
we
up to
got one flirt.
96%.
We need another one. It shouldn't be too hard as long as Queen doesn't go on a briefcase chase. Alice gets shot.
That's not expected.
It looks like David wasn't onto us, but also wasn't onto Queen, despite that strange highlight. I'm watching her at the shelf. Must have had suspicion elsewhere. And I don't think that shot means too much because Ryooo was definitely going to win that one by finishing the flirt anyway, unless Queen got really weird on us. And that's a second point for Ryooo. Correct? Yes, making it a tie on Ballroom. David was
Uh,
starting 2-0,
it
and now
looks
it's back to 2-2.
it looks to me like he suspected a green microfilm there, just because of how she turns the page and like turns her head a bit more than normal people would.
Yeah, I mean, if he shot Alice after she was at the shelf, it makes sense that he thought a microfilm happened. I've fallen for the Alice head turn before as well, to be honest. I think someone mentioned that it's sort of a rite of passage that everyone has to go through, thinking that Alice microfilmed when she's really just page turning.
I don't know if these are the correct emissions,
All right, three,
although
2, 1, playing it. Uh,
DavidW has opted to trade inspects for swap on high rise.
I mean, it looks like they were fidgeting around with the mission setup, so I don't think this was an accident.
I'm not against this move. It requires the sniper to memorize 7 numbers,
Yeah. Wow. Not
as
every
well
sniper
as.
uses numbers.
Oh, yeah, some people use words, don't they?
Yeah, I use letters to make
Huh.
words. But, yeah, I'm okay with the swap on choice. It takes a lot of sniper brain power to remember it, and it does mean that you have to be watching the statues sometimes, especially in the last half of the match, in case someone's finishing with a swap. But we're not really making much progress. We're finally entering next to our seduction target. Gonna get our first flirt, but we don't even enter as close as we possibly could.
Yeah,
So,
David's being very respectful.
yeah, 31%. Let's see, so what's the highest we can get? 34, right?
Um, if we get 234s, that brings us up to a total of 99.
And we're doing a fake banana bread. We are in conversation with an SDA though, so it might not help us too much. It's possible that David was just banking on the fact that maybe the SDA was the other person out of conversation, which was Kane. But it was pretty likely that there would be an SDA in with him, so I don't know how much that fake really gets us.
Seek is being very active this game, and he's a highlight.
Yeah, Seek did come to us, so we got the second flirt. It shouldn't be too hard to finish it, but I'm curious what the other progress is going to be. It doesn't look like we're going for fingerprints. Is there one on this statue, though?
Ooh, Seek will be low lit for a path.
And we're swapping the statue, but it's a green swap. It is the most visible statue, though. But yeah, it looks like Ryo's doing some sick pathing behavioral lowlights here, so it's really narrowed down. And I don't know if David can survive a swap, especially when you consider that the swap isn't even the final mission.
And it's being done by a low light.
Alright, Rocker is changing the statue for us right on screen. It changes. Has Ryo seen it? No reaction.
What if Ryo doesn't even know that swap is the mission?
That is possible.
That's
Oh,
like,
Rocker
oh,
moves
the swap
back
has
up
been noticed.
because he didn't see the swap. He didn't see if it was a
And
quick fade.
just has no idea who was there first.
Yeah, I mean, we often talk about when someone lowlights behaviorally, we wonder, are these hard lowlights, or do they remember that they're soft lowlights so they can potentially bring them back up? And sometimes we do see a spy correctly bring a lowlight back up to a highlight and shoot them, and it's always impressive, but
She was a hard low light.
she was a hard lowlight from the banana bread?
Yeah.
Had she left right as it was happening? Is that what happened?
She was coming from the blue bookshelf.
Yeah, because I remembered that Kame was the only one out of the room, and Rocker got her low light a little bit later. So it looks like it was a hard low light, but because Ryo was taking behavioral lights and hard low lights, he got confused about which one it was, and that's the danger of soft low lights.
Yeah, potentially just not respecting the potential for a swap.
All right,
Not memorizing who's there first.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
Ryo is stepping into conversation next to the ambassador to start out this game.
Yeah, I think it's just really unfortunate for Ryo that he didn't remember that Rocker was a hard lowlight for Banana Bread and not one of the soft behavioral lowlights, and also to not see the swap happening. And that's why swap proved to be a good mission, because if you see it happen, you know if it's white or green, but if you don't see it, you can't be sure which one it was, and it looks like he didn't even really consider that it could have been one of the neutral lights who green swapped.
We'll get a nice green flirt right before a seduction target leaves.
Yeah,
Opie
it looks like
says
we might
to
have
do
chased the
line
seduction
0.
target away. Might have been that they got interrupted and they left.
Opie recommends typing /line 0.
I already did it before he
Okay.
said it. Though it
I think
had
we
been
were
on for a
highlit
while.
for that flirt as well. So this could be a pairing.
I mean, it could have looked like a red flirt because Duke left immediately. I've actually made that mistake before as Sniper, thinking that a red flirt happened, when in actuality it's just that a partygoer can leave conversation when they get interrupted by you.
Oh yeah, I've lost a game to that as well.
I correctly shot a spy for it, but they were not red flirting. So we're in conversation here with our seduction target. We are with the suspected double agent, so we can't do a real banana bread. We could mosey on over to the other conversation and wait a little bit. Conversations could fill up pretty quickly, but it looks like we're just waiting for a timer flirt. The problem is we don't have any other progress. We get the timer flirt, but what are we going to do next?
There's a statue fingerprint right now, and potentially one at the green bookshelf. We could rush for those, but that would be very suspicious at this point in the game.
Well, the one on the green bookshelf has been there for a while. Is it becoming difficult right now? So it could be that Ryo's going to try for the difficult one. If he gets it, he can take the statue print, and he does get it. He hits a green test and gets the fingerprint at the shelf. So now he's got the option of going to that other statue and getting the print on it. And the ambassador is at the statue over there by the windows, so it might be that David has forgotten that there's also the ambassador print on the other statue. And we are getting the briefcase.
Will go for the briefcase.
I think we were obligated to do that, so it's good that we did. And we take 2 little steps and we stop. Will David think that was a good stop or not? But we didn't get a fingerprint from it. And it'll be sort of difficult to go to the statues and get the print now. We don't have time. We have to contact.
We're being stared down for this contact,
Oh, and we
and
get
that'll
shot
end
for
it.
it as if that briefcase had a fingerprint on it, and it didn't. I think Ryooo was probably planning to go get a fingerprint from one of the statues, but just got shot before he could do it.
Even then, one of those statues would have most likely had the same result.
Yeah, I think so as well. The ambassador had prints on 3 statues at that point, so not super hard to remember, like, wait, which statue had the print on it? Oh yes, it's both of them in the living room. They both had prints. And so now it will be Ryooo as sniper. David is up 4-2. But David did win the first 2 ballroom games, and then Ryooo won the second 2 ballroom games. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a pattern. Ryooo could pull out 2 wins here, especially on high rise. It's a fairly balanced venue in terms of win rates, I believe.
Yeah. Swap is staying off this time.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
We're gonna take an innocent green book quickly while our seduction target gets settled into a conversation.
Yeah, I like the play of taking books on high rise when they're turned off. I find it can be a pretty good way to lose suspicion. We're walking near the ambassador, but we don't take a bug.
Sniper had a good angle on that, so they can be confident that there was no bug.
Yeah, we weren't bouncing into the ambassador, we weren't super close to them, and of course there was no arm movement. David doing a little bit of a redirect there, walking into the choke point and turning around. And I believe that's the second time we've seen David do that sort of behavior. He did it on Ballroom as well when he was heading over to the green bookcase that one time. So it's possible that David's fishing for lowlights.
Very possible. Oprah takes a disgusting bug path at the back there, but right before the ambassador leaves.
And she got highlight for it?
Absolutely. That might be a good thing for David to exploit if he realized that.
Yeah, I think it would be very impressive if David realizes that. But Oprah is the seduction target, and seduction targets do have a tendency to get shot. I don't know why. I don't know if there's some sort of reason for it, but they get shot pretty often. Possibly because they can be flirt paired, because they will always generally have spent enough time with someone to flirt.
Very true. Also, that you know that they're not the suspected double agent. That's always a good trait to have.
Yeah, they're very easy to frame, especially if you ever do a red flirt.
Ryooo has eliminated the front conversation, so we're down to 4 people.
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if those are behavioral or from a no talk.
was it from the contact?
No, there was a suspected double agent in there, but he had them low lit from beforehand.
Yeah, my worry is that Oprah, is the top suspect still, and she's going off to do something. If it's statues, but it is her first statue visit, correct?
Yeah, I think so. She was at Windows and then she picked up the briefcase.
David's gonna
There's
follow
a
her to
fingerprint
statues
on
for the
this.
flirt. But can he get it in time? No, he didn't do the flirt before picking up the statues, so wasn't able to do it. So that's 1 statue visit now, but for completion you'll need to go flirt again and do another statue visit.
That bug was not
path.
seen at all.
No, I don't think it was even suspected. We had a very natural path to walk past the ambassador there.
If Hare gets another fingerprint, she might get shot because she did a briefcase right before taking that nasty bug path earlier.
No, 97%. I was going to say the important thing is that we're not going to get shot. If we haven't been shot at this point for the bug, the contact, I mean, we could easily be at 100% flirt right now and Ryooo wouldn't have shot. So if David loses at this point, it'll just be an unfortunate result of that flirt bar not filling up all the way, missing 3%.
Yeah, and as Pwn Noob said in the game chat, he should have just chosen the green test that.
Yeah, I don't understand why spies hit white tests. The green
He'll
bar is
green
there.
test this last one though.
Yeah, green test when we didn't need to. Mission win countdown. I don't think a shot's coming off. Ryoo's not on
We have
this.
overtime and there's hesitation because who the heck is finishing missions?
Yeah, you never think it's going to be the flirt in overtime.
That bug is almost invisible from the spy view, too.
Yeah, I wish we could go back and look at that. We might be able to if we do an interview post game. We can go back and look at that bug. Otherwise, we'll just make a note of it because I would like to see that. I mean, I saw it as it was happening, and by saw it, I mean didn't see it because there was nothing to see, but I saw the path.
Yeah, that was a very well executed bug. And it was absolutely needed. That is DavidW up 5-2.
Yes, that's correct. Three, two, one, playing it.
We're gonna take control and stutter into the window pad.
Did we
Get
get
a
to the window pad before General or after?
We were there before.
Wow, so General came to us. That's a really, really
Yeah,
lucky first flirt.
we'll pick up a nice 50% flirt. That will make this game a lot. That'll make this game very rushable. If we can get another green flirt, we might be able to finish.
Yeah. We got one inspect from the center statue, which I'm a little bit curious about. Was it a red test? Or was it
We've
just
green
one
flirted in the
cycle?
meantime. That may have been an effort to one cycle in order to avoid the highlight.
That's very interesting to do a one cycle. I thought Ryooo might have been playing a little bit bold, being down in score, but looks like it was a level 2 advanced move.
It doesn't seem that Rio was rewarded for his one cycling, though, which
No.
would have been exactly what he wanted if he wanted to complete Inspects this game.
Well, you could get a highlight for going to statues. A lot of those statue highlights are sort of rote, and we're going back to the same statue. I'm not surprised to see Ryooo follow it up with that. This is level 3 Yomi at this point.
We will two cycle this time. David still will not oblige with a low light, though.
Yeah, I mean, often the way that a map like High Rise or Pub works when inspects are on is there could be AIs who complete, and if there's been a banana bread and everyone has had time to flirt, you have to decide, do you shoot the person who's finished inspects or not? And that comes down to behavior. You have to use behavior here somehow to decide, is the way that person finished their inspects the way a spy might do it? And in Ryoo's case, it's 2 center statue visits, one of them a one cycle, and then going to a third statue pad again. And it's just mind games. It's pure unfiltered mind games.
The real point of that, though, is to wait for Sarah to get into conversation, because she just visited the green shelf twice.
Ryooo loops around, does a nice redirect around the conversation. Again, it looks AI-like. These players are fishing for behavioral lowlights, but they're not getting them.
That path next to the Amba was not the greatest if you're fishing for a low light, but you gotta take it.
No, and now we're just waiting for the best time to contact. And we go for it.
Light
Hair
test.
leaves.
2 out. There's
Do we
3
get
highlights
shot?
in.
No, it looks like David's not taking the shot. David just can't be confident that this weird Irish woman who went to statues 3 times is actually the spy. And the mind game worked.
Very good strat. Even though we were a highlight, we may have been cancelled out of consideration
Yeah,
for our excessive statue
yeah, I mean
visiting.
on a 3 of 5, the sniper does have a lot more mental space to keep track of exactly what each guest has been doing. So even though Irish was highlight for the statues, I'm assuming David had in his mind, well, she one cycled. She went to statues 3 times. And so just couldn't feel confident about taking the shot. Just didn't think the spy would be playing such an unconventional game plan. And so
Interesting to
Ryooo
see
gets a point.
no shot in that case, because he had 2 other suspects.
Yeah, and there was still about 40 seconds left on the clock, so I'm sure that David was probably thinking one of the other suspects might go to statues, and then you'll feel stupid for, shooting Irish who went 3 times and was obviously an AI or something like that. Might be the thought process there. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Got David W as Teal stepping behind the Soji here. And we'll open up with a red flirt.
Well, that's not great. I do find flirting can be a little bit difficult on Taeyan sometimes just because the conversations fill up so full that if your ST is in there, you can't always fit in, and even when you can, the spot that opens up might be far away from them. We have a potential bug path here. We're sipping our drink, getting rid of it. If we walk to statues right now, we could bug, and I don't think it would be visible at all, and we're taking it, and the bug lands.
Yep, you called that in advance. We're 45 seconds down. We're stepping into center statues, and we have a bug.
Yeah, see, this is the exact situation I described earlier. You take a bug path, but the only place that path leads you to is statues, so you are getting suspicion. But
Looks
I
like,
don't think Ryooo noticed the bug. I didn't see any reaction from the sniper side there.
yeah, nothing more than a suspected bug path.
Yeah, and on Taeyan, I think that's really all you get a lot of the time against a good spy, because it's very easy to get a bug where the hand is just not visible. We have Toby, but I don't think we're gonna purloin. You don't want to risk doing a hard tell here.
Especially not right in the front.
No, and so we are able to enter next to our seduction target, which is good because we have not actually gotten a successful flirt after that first red one. And we hit a green. That helps. That definitely helps.
The other center statue visitor, Seek, has just been low lit for his behavior.
We also have Salmon at those center statues, also low lit. I mean, at this
Yeah,
point, the game plan can be fairly simple. You finish your flirt and you do a contact. But that front conversation circle isn't as full as you would like. You really want everyone in conversation for it. So David's not taking the contact yet, hoping that another opportunity will come up sometime in the last minute. But that's not a guarantee.
yeah, especially as one of 3 highlights. You still have to talk at least once.
No, and we're going to a bookshelf instead.
Oh, is this an attempt to go contactless?
If so, it's a pretty dicey attempt. I mean, you have to get that second fingerprint. We are entering next to the ST, so we can get that flirt. A green would help tremendously here, but we don't get it.
We hit the green on the fingerprint, so that might not even be suspected at this point.
No, so the question is, can David go and get that briefcase? You know, if I was David, I might hold on to the book just to lose the suspicion if your plan is to finish with a print and seduce, but we're running out of time. I don't think there's a way to finish. You have to flirt, leave, immediately pick up the briefcase. You can't do that. Oh, we're purloining.
Into flirt.
I'm flirting. We had a game plan. We threw it out and hit a green purloin, even though the nerves must be high at that point. We're in overtime, and a shot comes off. Ryooo was onto it. Ryooo tracked the reject.
Without even seeing the list.
Didn't see the list? Wow. The reject was in a pretty visible spot, and Teal did, enter the conversation, talk, and leave pretty quickly. So that's really, really, really good perceptive ability from Ryooo there. But I also think it was really good gameplay from David to be able to, throw out the game plan there and do a purloin when it counted, realizing you couldn't finish with the prince and, weren't going to be able to get the contact. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, hitting a green purloin and finishing up a flirt in the last 6 seconds of the game. It's good, but it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and it's
And
really...
in this... Go on.
I was just saying it's really impressive that Ryooo was able to take the shot even without seeing that the list went away.
That's a bug attempt, but it's got very good cover.
Yeah, it didn't take, and the thing with bugs that don't take is the reason they don't take is because you were too far away from the amba. so the sniper might not even have been looking for a bug there. Looks like a very good contact, very few people out of conversation.
We'll
But
knock out the
Taft
seduction target.
Taft was out of conversation, the seduction target. He was over at statues and he did not get low lit. And that could prove to be... Ooh, Ryooo got high lit.
Is this a briefcase highlight?
Potentially, yes. Where is the ambassador right
The
now?
ambassador was right at the blue shelf at that moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be that David felt Ryooo should have picked up the briefcase, but I think the ambassador was still close enough. It could just be something about the conversation entrance that David didn't like.
Take an innocent drink behind the soji, trying to spook the sniper into thinking there's been purloin. Oh, and it has a fingerprint on it.
Nice, fingerprintable drink, the hardest to track. The ambassador sort of tried to enter that conversation and then left, being a
He
little bit
did not
weird.
try for very long. Taft is finishing up in specs.
You think there's a chance of Taft getting shot here?
He was out for the BB, but he wasn't low
No!
lit.
Ryooo gets shot. It's David had some sort of sixth sense there. Just highlight Ryooo for a conversation entrance and then shot them for picking up a briefcase.
That one's interesting.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to hear from David later what that shot was for. But it looks like David was just super on top of it, and so we move on to Aquarium with David getting the 6th point, which means the best Ryooo can do at this point is tie. But a tie is still possible. In fact, I said before the match started it seemed like it might be the most likely result. And Ryooo has shown that he can keep bringing that score back up even when he's behind.
Tie party. Tie party.
3,
Tie party.
2, 1, playing it.
We will start out right next to the ambassador, but we don't take control early enough to even do a bug attempt. Not that it would be a good idea.
No, so we are going over to the bar. It doesn't look like there's a lot of other people here, so a purloin, even with the delegate, would put us on a short list of suspects. But we are taking the option because there is no reason not to. If you don't use it, you don't use it.
We are high lit for the delegate, but that should expire within the next minute.
Yeah, you think Ryoo's just highlighting bar visitors at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really won't be hard to track if a delegate happens.
Most likely memorizing the statue visitors, in which case I think there's only been Seek so far.
Yeah, right now on Aquarium, I'm sort of doing an adaptive plan where, if there's like 6 people at the bar at the start, I switch up my highlights and I highlight them. If there's only 2, though, generally trust myself to remember it. Very good banana bread. Almost no one out of conversation, and the shark covering the bottom conversation, so even if you think someone may have been out, you can't be sure it wasn't a split. But it wasn't a real banana bread, so it doesn't necessarily do too much for David, other than
Here come
confuse the
those
sniper.
neutral lights. 1 minute after the delegate timer. In which case, we are now switching to statue highlights.
Interesting. I do like that sort of adaptive gameplay from Ryooo, being able to switch up the highlights on the fly there, deciding in the moment what you want to offload from your memory the most.
Yep, that's my favorite thing to do on Modern.
Yeah, well, Modern is very similar to Aquarium, if we're being honest. The same large bar, the same multiple statue visits required, large space.
Yep. Got a few more statue visitors in the back.
Right, but what mission progress are we making? We went over to a bookcase. Don't think there was a print on it. We could be going for a plan where we don't finish missions and we hope that that banana bread framed someone. We're going over to the bar. Came right from the bookcase, so we can't take the list. Can't frame anyone. So if we're hoping to get someone shot, I'm not sure what the plan is. At
Maybe trying
this,
to delegate now that there's more of a crowd.
yeah, at this point, I think your best bet is not to walk through the middle of a conversation circle, but if you want to rush missions, you have to get the real contact and delegate and bug and swap, basically. It's a
We
little too late
will.
for 2 visits to statues. Or,
We've delegated to the real double agent.
oh, wow. That's. Are we getting shot? That laser's on us. But no, no shot. Pearls gets shot!
Oh,
Ryooo just didn't necessarily track that list of bar visitors perfectly there. And David gets the 7th point and wins. No tie party.
that's unfortunate. Switching up the highlights does burn you when you end up dealing with a purloin later on.
Yeah, wasn't highlighting for bar visitors at that point. Go away, Purloin Tooltip. Um, and that's the match. I mean, I think there was some very good play from both sides. There were some really, really interesting plays. I think my favorite was still when Ryooo, that was Ryooo, right, as Irish on High Rise did the 3 statue visits.
Yeah.
I think there was just a lot of counterplay going on, both of them trying to get low lit, both of them seemingly adapting to each other's play. And we'll just wait for them to enter lobby. And I'm just going to ask them if they'd be interested in an interview. We'll see if they are. If they are, do you want to try out that system we discussed?
Sure. Let me open up the replays.
Cool. Ryooo has to pass. I don't think he has time, he mentioned to me earlier, so we'll see if David wants to. David says not one for words, so that's all right. I would like to go take a look at some of those key moments, though, just for a moment. It's
Yeah.
kind of what I like about the interviews anyway. We get to see all of the most exciting moments again. Actually, I just want to ask David that one question.
Oh, he's in chat.
He's in. Oh, here. When you shot Teal on Taeyen, what was that for? And I'll get that replay
He's
open.
probably listening.
Oh yeah, he's listening. Right. I don't. It's hard. Hosting, casting, it's hard stuff. So that was David was the sniper. Wait, was that when David was sniper? Yeah, I think so. Flirt bump in Shoji and going for print. Let's take a look at this. Casting mode off.
I'm just gonna watch this from David's point of view.
Sure. So the highlight comes. Oh, there was a bug attempt that. Yeah, Dave says he'll zoom in if she talks somewhat quickly. So Teal, banana bread comes off. She leaves. Ah, she does a really strange path here. She curves around.
What time?
This is at 2:39. Now, what I'm wondering is, was that a wonky path from Ryooo, or was it an attempt to be AI-like? Oh, it's after this. Yeah, the talk happens right after this. So it wasn't for the path, it was for the talk. Because the path is really interesting to me. I do know that the way AIs work is they don't immediately path to a spot in a circle. They path to a spot on the edge of the circle, and then they decide where they will enter. Well, the highlight does come off right here during this CC. But apparently something's going to happen when she goes back.
I think I just saw it.
Yeah, she has a little bump into the Shoji here. Well, I was just questioning if it was a bad path or if it was AI-like. Very hard to tell the difference for us oak folk. Hey, that's a new term I just came up with. Oak folk. Yeah, so let's look at this bump into the shoji. Oh yeah, the bump into the shoji is super visible. So the highlight was for somewhat split. Yeah, that makes sense. Quite often the first person to leave a conversation after a banana bread is the spy, and then just got immediately shot for picking up the briefcase. Even though it's all the way at the back, David was super onto that. The other moment I wanted to look at was the bug on high rise. And while I'm doing that, if you can look through the replays for any other key moments that we might want to
Yeah.
look back on. And so the bug on high rise, who was that again? That was,
It might have been the last game.
yeah, that was when Ryooo was Irish, correct?
Yeah, Rocker.
Hmm. Oh, so the Irish win was different. Well, I thought Ryooo
The
won his,
Irish one was with all the statues.
right. Hmm. Maybe it was David who took the bug path then. David did the bug as Rocker. Yeah, here it is. Let's take a look at that. Should be coming up right now. Almost completely invisible. I don't see anything. Completely clean. The arm is covered not only by the ambassador, but by Seek, by General, and just by
Pearls.
how big Taft is.
Isn't he walking right next to Pearls as well?
Yeah. Pearls is behind. Oh yeah, Pearls sort of moves. There's just a lot going on there. You just
Yeah, it's a wrong arm bug too. So like his arm goes into
oh
a
yeah, you can see the arm starting to move. And you know, maybe if you had a different angle, if you were more over here, let's see if it would be more visible. No, basically no. Great bug. Any other moments that we want to look back on? We can look at why Alice got shot.
That's exactly the one that I pulled up.
Great. What time is that? I think it should be the fourth ballroom game, correct?
Yeah, the fourth ballroom game, like 40 to 30 seconds left. 45 seconds is when she gets to bookcase.
And she gets shot for it. Has Alice ever been to the blue bookcase? Yes, she's at the blue bookcase earlier, so could have been that Alice was noted there. It looks like she was chasing Prince. Yeah, Alice goes to the blue bookcase right after the ambassador was there.
What time?
Oh. It's not the
Oh,
bookcase.
yeah.
Bear has a point. Ah, it's the painting. My depth perception gets to me again.
She was at blue like very early on, but not after a fingerprint.
Okay.
I do see the part where she's at the painting though.
Yeah. That depth perception cost me one of my first SCL games against Cupcake. She started at the painting, and I thought she started at the blue bookshelf. So when she went back to the blue bookshelf, I gave a low light because, you know, why would the spy go to the same bookshelf twice?
I'll keep that in mind.
Well, that was my second week playing. That's don't. Plus anything I say to you, I can't low light for anymore. Were there any other super important moments? I feel like those were the most exciting ones.
Yeah.
Dave
Game as
says,
Seek never happened. Let's review that one.
which one was that?
I don't know.
Not sure. The other thing I wanted to, well, if we have Dave in the chat, I would like to ask, High Rise, Ryooo, Mission Win as Irish. I would really like to know, Dave, if you're willing to share. What were you thinking about Irish during this game? With her first statue visit, center statue, but only one cycle, then going back to the same center statues. Dave says he wasn't impressed, but didn't think she had flirt done. And that's a really understandable assumption to make. The first flirt came to us at the windows. No reason to think that Ryooo was doing it, and it was a green. And then we just entered next to him once, greened again. Um, Pofke wants to know about the swap. But yeah, the other thing
Oh
I just wanted
yeah.
to point out was that Irish was only in conversation with General there for a bit, and for the rest of it, she's off at the statues just doing other things. She goes to the window pad, and then she finally re enters, not next to General, the only possible flirt pair. The only one she could really be getting a flirt complete with here is Oprah. So it really doesn't look like she could have finished flirt, and that really makes sense for a reason to hold that shot. The green flirts were really, really powerful there. And yeah, the laser was definitely on Irish. Just weren't confident enough to take a shot, which is unfortunate, but I think it's still a good sign that you were tracking the flirt that well. Because in almost every other case, she could not have finished flirt. She spent too much time outside of conversation. All right, Legorv, do you have the time of the swap?
The swap? Which that was the 3 minute and 10 second high rise game. I'm still looking for that Seek replay.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so Pofke wants to know about the swap. Um, oh, that's a question for Ryooo. And I don't know if Rio's in the chat.
I think I saw him.
He was there earlier, talking about the path on Taean, but if Rio's gone, then we can't really ask. We can ask David why he leaves swap on, but I think we know the answer. Just gives the sniper something to keep on their mind. Oh, Rio's here. Yeah. Oh, Pofke just wants to know why David took swap as a mission. Well, David, would you like to answer that for us? But yeah, my prediction, it just takes up a lot of brain space from the sniper. And, we saw it in action. The sniper wasn't able to watch the swap at the key moment. And there's also something that can be said just for habit. Everyone is used to playing high rise 3 of 5 with no swap on. So even if you are logically aware that it has been turned on, you don't necessarily have the habit to be checking those statues for the swap because you've probably played, 100, 200, however many games on high rise without really looking for that. And David says, I generally never try swap as a distractor, but bugging on this map is hard, and it's an easy mission to complete for a guy like me that hates missions. Yeah, for those of us who are bad at planning and, realize there's a minute left and we don't have fingerprints or inspect, you can just go for the swap. All right, well, thank you,
Or
Ryooo,
turn
for
on
letting us
Hurling.
cast that. Really, really great gameplay from both sides. Like I was saying maybe before you got there was a lot of really smart counterplay. And, it was clear we could see the strategies both of you were using against each other, trying to get lowlights, trying to avoid detection, and trying to switch game plans up.
Yeah, and I found the Seek gameplay.
The Seek
It's
gameplay.
it's the cough.
Ah, the cough. Well, that one
Yeah.
was. Oh, yeah. Which one was this?
We don't have to watch it. We can save Dave the embarrassment.
I'm just a little
It's the
curious.
his second spy on Ballroom.
Yeah, I've seen it. Besides, David, we can't embarrass David too much because David won. So that's how I see it, at least. If you've won the match, you can't really feel bad about anything. But that's not true because I feel bad when I've won, and I'm sure other people, Minty, might feel the same.
Whoa.
Well, it's not a bad thing. I just know that Minty and I are sort of similar. We have complicated feelings whether we win or we lose. Yeah, so the cough might have been seen, and the shot just sort of comes off as soon as David starts talking again. And alright, we'll do one last one. David asks, who here thought I was timing out as twin in the first spy game? Um, which one was this? Oh yeah, this is the one where we made some very interesting progress and finished with microfilm right at the end. Yes.
Oh, this game was great, and I
That was
forgot
a
about
nail biter.
the first one.
Yeah, wow, there were a lot of really good games in this set. I would probably recommend this for official casting on the weekend. But I don't know, people in chat can maybe agree or disagree. The microfilm finish was really, really great. I mean, you didn't have Flirt. Flirt was at 26% and still pulled out a victory, which is really impressive. Anyway, I think we'll stop there.
Yeah,
So thank you again to Dave for answering our questions, for letting us cast you. Thanks for putting up with when you watch the VOD and see we misunderstood everything you did. And thank you
and to
to
Ryo.
Lagorv.
Don't forget about Ryo.
I said thank you to Ryo a minute ago when Ryo left,
Oh,
but
did you?
we
Okay.
can thank Ryo again. I think I did. I don't remember. So have a good evening, everyone.